To make sure that this spray gets on the lug nuts and not on the brake pads, try using the top of this plastic bottle as a funnel. To make sure that these two pieces of wood are level, use a hammer and a screw to hold the boards in place while we attach the two pieces together. Wrapping the wire around the terminal like this isn't going to hold. Instead, we'll remove some of the plastic from the end of the wire like usual. Then, we'll cut an additional piece of plastic and move it to the end of the wire. Now wrap the wire around the terminal back on itself and then tighten it back down. We're having a hard time removing this bolt with these pliers. We can make our own DIY socket wrench. Insert a same-size bolt into a pipe and then hammer on all sides until the pipe matches the shape of the bolt. Now we can use this to loosen the original bolt. Here's an interesting trick to make pocket holes. Drill a large hole in the center of the stud and then 3 pilot holes inside of it. Then, drill the screws into the pilot holes to attach the two pieces together. For our next project, we'll be modifying these pliers to turn them into brick tongs. We'll start by cutting off a couple strips of metal and then welding the larger piece to the handle and the smaller piece to the jaws. Secure the longer handle into the vise and bend it to a right angle. Now we can comfortably carry bricks. Sometimes it can be impossible to fill a larger bucket with water because it just won't fit into the sink. In these cases, we can attach foam tubing to the faucet and then place the other end of the foam tubing into the bucket which we set on the floor. Now we'll be making a DIY sandblaster. We'll first need to cut out a hole from this pipe and flatten one end. Next, we'll need 2 bottle caps. We'll cut out a section on the top of this bottle cap that's the same width as the pipe so that it can fit inside. We'll drill a hole into the other bottle cap and then screw the 2 caps together. Place the pipe through the incision and then line up the 2 holes. Fill the bottom cap with hot glue. Next, we can fill this bottle with sand and attach it to the bottle cap. Now with an air compressor, our sandblaster can clean our tools. If we've lost the caps to these nozzles on our glue bottles, we can just use drywall anchors as a substitute. This is called a marlin spike hitch, and we can use it to make a rope ladder. We'll wrap the rope around the rung 3 times, and then wrap the middle loop around the back. We can do this on both sides of each rung to make a rope ladder. To undo the hitch, just pull it off and it will come undone. Now let's make a modification to our soldering iron. We'll remove the tip and secure it in a vise. Then we'll cut off the tip with a hacksaw and make a vertical incision. We'll then cut a snap blade into the shape of an X-Acto knife blade and attach it into the incision. Now we can heat up our blade to make our cuts. We need to make a new handle for our screwdriver. We can make one using hot glue and baking soda. Heat up the hot glue and the baking soda together using a heat gun. Mix everything together until it forms a thick paste. As it cools, mold the handle onto the shank until the paste cools to a hard plastic handle. A temporary solution for this damaged pipe is to glue a piece of pipe larger than the hole inside of the pipe, and then glue a larger pipe over the hole. To make use of this old oil filter, we can remove the cap and take out the base plate. Then we can separate the two plates and grind off any excess metal. Now we'll weld screws to the plate, adding notches into the screws. Now we can attach this to our angle grinder. And now we have a very rough sanding disc to remove large amounts of material from wood. It's better to fasten a rope with a couple of washers than just a screw by itself. Before attaching wires to a screw, be sure to bend the wire around the screw before tightening. Plastic anchors are not very effective when installed into concrete or brick. A more secure option would be to use metal anchors. To fasten these two strips of wood together with a single wire, try this. With a loop on one end, pass a screwdriver through the loop and wrap the two loose ends of the wire together. Then clip off any excess wire. To create a brace for these two pipes, we'll first get a measurement using this piece of cord. Now we'll cut this threaded rod to the same length of the cord. Next, we'll mark the halfway point on the rod. And then we'll bend the threaded rod around the PVC pipe at the halfway point. We'll then secure the rod in a vise and bend it in half one more time. Now we can attach this to our pipes and secure everything with a metal bracket. To connect these pairs of wires together, we'll use a wire stripper to remove the plastic and then wrap one wire end around the middle of the wire using pliers to help. We'll then wrap the wires with electrical tape to seal everything up. This knot is called a surgeon's knot. We'll do 2 twists on the bottom and 1 on top. To make sure we join these boards together at a right angle, we can create a guide. We'll cut off a corner of plywood that has a 90-degree angle. We'll attach 2 small boards along its edge. Now we can clamp our boards onto our guide to ensure that they're installed at 90 degrees. For our next project, we'll be building an adjustable block for our vise. We'll start by cutting out a circle using this hole saw drill bit. Then we can sand off the sides and edges. Now we'll drill a larger hole in the center using a drill press. We'll pass a bolt through this hole, and then we'll cut out a square, drill a hole in its center, and install a T-nut. Now when we secure things into our vise, we can use this adjustable block to match the thickness of our piece. For our next project, we'll be building a very rudimentary gardening tool. We'll start by bending this rebar with 2 bends like so, and remove the excess with an angle grinder. We'll be attaching this rebar onto this pole, so we'll make some grooves on the end. Next, we'll drill holes into both ends of the rebar. Now we can attach the rebar to the pole with the help of a metal clamp. We'll also need clamps to secure our wires in place. We'll remove the nails and use these rivets. Now we can pass the wire through the rivets and through the holes in the rebar on both sides. Crimp the wire to the clamps, and then hammer the clamps into the holes. This gardening tool will help us remove weeds. To remove a broken bolt, try welding a nut to it and then unscrewing it with a wrench. We can cut out this PVC pipe into a long, thin shape like so. From here, we'll glue a cap and a dropper to the top of the PVC pipe. When we're done, we want to make sure that the bottle still fits. Fill the bottle with water. And now we can use this as a low-tech watering system. To glue these two boards together edgewise, we can install some dowels. Start by hammering a nail into a scrap piece of wood. Now press the two pieces of wood together with the nail in between. We can use these markings to drill holes for our dowels. Now we'll apply wood glue to the edges and insert the dowels. It should be a perfect fit. To make sure these two wires don't slip, we'll need a more secure way to fasten them. We'll wrap the first wire back in the other direction, and then use the second wire to fold it back on itself for extra support. To install a switch on this light bulb, we'll demonstrate a few different methods. First, we'll pass the wire through a single switch. As you can see, the light turns on and off like normal. But what if we installed two switches? Although the wiring is a little bit more complicated, once everything is properly connected, the light will only turn on when both switches are in the on position.